Beast Quest, Sepron, Chapter 6. Rowing was hard work. Sweat plastered Tom's tunic to his body. His hands tingled from gripping the oar. Eleanor's hair clung to her face, and she snatched a moment to wipe her forehead with her sleeve. An eerie silence surrounded them. The only sounds were the creaking of the oars and the slap of their blades on the water. As they headed out to sea, the water became choppy. A current seized the boat, and it became harder to row. Tom's muscles strained as he thrust the oars deep into the churning water. They had to keep going. He squeezed his eyes shut and tried to ignore the screaming pain of his muscles. He could hear Eleanor panting with the effort. Gradually, Tom realized that he could make out the shape of a rocky island in the misty dawn light. "Let's head over there," he told Eleanor. "I think that's where I saw Sepron just before the tidal wave." He looked over his shoulder, peering into the mist. There was no sign of the sea serpent. Tom felt an icy shiver down his spine as he thought of the great head rising out of the water. Then Eleanor let out a cry. "Tom, the boat is leaking!" Tom started. Water was washing around his feet, and more was oozing through the repair Eleanor had made the day before. He was so wet from launching the boat that he hadn't even noticed. "The tar hasn't had time to set properly," Eleanor said. "We'll have to beach the boat and fix it." "We can't go back to the village," Tom said, alarmed. "Give me your oar. I'll row while you bail. We'll try to land on the rocky island." Eleanor started to row again, while Tom cupped his hands and bailed out the water. The island gradually grew closer, and Tom spotted a narrow strip of pebbles between two spiky crags. "There!" he exclaimed. The water swirled dangerously around the rocks as Eleanor rowed between them, struggling to keep the boat on a steady course. The boat lurched and rocked in the waves, but at last Tom felt the bottom scrape against the pebbles. Puffing out a grateful sigh, Eleanor pulled the oars into the boat, and then they both leapt out and dragged the boat out of the water. While Eleanor packed the rope and tar more firmly into the hole, Tom scooped the rest of the water out of the bottom of the boat. When he had finished, he walked down to the water's edge and scanned the sea. The surface shone silver in the growing light of morning, and was ridged with waves that burst into foam as they hit the rocks. "Where are you, Sepron?" Tom wondered. "There," Eleanor said at last. "That should hold it until we get back to shore." Tom knew that by now the sun must have risen over the hills inland, but the sea mist seemed suddenly to have grown thicker, and he could not see the land. The water level had sunk even further. More of the rocks were exposed, and seaweed lay everywhere. Tom wrinkled his nose at the smell. A silver fish was flapping helplessly on a flat rock. Eleanor gave it a gentle push, and it flopped back into the sea. "What now?" she asked, gazing around. Tom pulled out the map and hastily unfolded it. "The map shows Sepron swimming in the water beside this island," he muttered. "He must be close." He looked back up at the sea. It was still quiet, but beneath those waves Sepron was lurking. If that huge serpent burst through the surface of the water now, Tom and Eleanor would not stand a chance. There was no point hanging about. They had to get out there and find the beast. "Let's take a look around," Tom suggested. "We might spot something that would show us where to find Sepron." Together, he and Eleanor clambered over the rocky base of the island. There was nothing to see except more seaweed and tiny, scuttling crabs. There had to be a clue somewhere, and then Tom spotted an iron hoop driven into the rock. "Hey," he called to Eleanor, "come and look at this." Eleanor hurried over to join him. Examining the hoop, Tom saw that a thick golden chain was fixed to it, leading down into the water. It was draped with seaweed and covered with barnacles, but it still gave off a mysterious glow, which faded as the chain sank deeper into the water. Eleanor caught her breath. "Do you think it's enchanted?" Tom crouched down, touched the chain, and nodded. "This must be what's trapping Sepron," he said.